I'm making an old-fashioned pot roast like my mother used to make. So I have about a 3.5 pound chuck roast that I salted, peppered, and coated with flour. And so what I'm doing now, I have it in a skillet on the stove in about 3 or 4 tablespoons of oil, and I'm browning both sides of the roast. The roast has now browned, and I've taken it up on a plate. And in the skillet, I've added about 3 more tablespoons of Crisco and 2 heaping tablespoons of flour. And I'm making a roux now for the gravy. And this is going to take a few minutes because this needs to brown rather slowly. You don't want to burn it. The roux is now a deep brown. You can see down in my pan. The trick is you're supposed to catch it just before it burns so that it's a dark brown, nutty color. And now I'm going to add to this 3 cups of water. And in it I've added about 3 tablespoons of better than bouillon, the beef flavor, better than bouillon. Now quite often my mother just used water. And her roasted gravy was delicious. I like to add a little booster. I like the better than bouillon flavor, so I add just a little bit. That was only 2 cups. There's my third. Okay, so we have to let our gravy come back to a boil and begin to rise it a little bit. It'll start thickening. Now you could add beef broth too. At this point, the gravy is boiling and beginning to thicken. And what I would normally do is just go ahead and put the roast back into the gravy, put a lid on it, and turn the fire down as low as I could turn it, and let it cook for about an hour and a half or until the roast is fork tender. But because I have other things to do today and I'm not going to be inside all the time to check it every few minutes, I've got my crock pot over here on high. And what I'm going to do now, and my mother didn't use a crock pot because she didn't have one. I don't think they had crock pots back in those days. But anyway, I'm going to put the roast now into the crock pot. And be sure to pour all the drippings in with it. We don't want to miss any of those. And then I'm going to get the gravy. And pour it in. Okay, so at this point the gravy has started to thicken. But it will thicken more. And I would have added salt and pepper But since I added the better than bouillon, has so much sodium in it that I did not add any more salt and pepper, just what I originally put on the roast. But I'm going to just pour this gravy over the roast in the crock pot. Going to rinse it out with just a little water. Don't want to miss any of that goodness there. And now I'm going to cook the roast on high for about 4 hours. Now at about 3.5 hours, I'm going to come back in and put some, add some fresh carrots to the crock pot. And then about 15 minutes later, I'm going to take these 4 potatoes that came out of the spring garden, and I'm going to peel them and cut them into chunks and add those as well, so that by the end of the 4th hour it should be ready to eat. That's why they call it a pot roast, is because like stew, you add the potatoes and carrots and other vegetables if you want to. I have been known to add English peas to mine, but actually I'm having English peas on the side, so I'm not going to add them to the pot roast at this time. It's supper time, and the pot roast is ready. I wish you could see down in this pot, and I don't think you can. There. It is, the gravy is a little maybe runnier than I would like. There was a lot of fat that cooked out of the roast, but if you didn't like it that way, you could thicken it with a little cornstarch. So I have my potatoes, and I already have my plate fixed with the fresh English peas and the rice and biscuits hot out of the oven. And the meat here is fork tender. So just with the serving spoon, I've cut a piece of the roast. And the gravy is really good. So, there it is. It's supper time and everything looks good. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe and share it with someone else you think might enjoy it.